Hey everybody, this is Perch. Um, Look, this is a total dad video. Okay, I'm gonna embrace it. That's what this is. It's an absolute dad level video. This is Dad Perch. Okay, so you're in for it. So just click away now if you want to. If this is not your thing, I mean, you got to give me this. I do warn you, right? What what? It's I give you what's advertised. Not a lot of trickery. So it's we're heading up to the end of the year, and we're going to do a couple things at the end of the year. We're going to do some live streams, which will be fun. Try and get into that again. I feel awkward in these live streams. I wish I didn't. I do though. I feel like I don't know what to say. Like it's not normal. And when I do these interviews, one of the things, if you haven't picked up on it, is I believe the person that you want to hear, you, the listening audience, is a person being interviewed. You don't want to hear me. I listen to a lot of these other live streams and other interviews, and like it sounds like the guy or the woman, but usually the guy who's interviewing wants to talk about themselves. They want to like, hey, did you know I also like comics and I am also very smart with comics? It's like, okay, nobody wants to hear about you. You're talking to Jim Shooter. Why don't you just shut the fuck up and let Jim Shooter talk? That's the reason why we're here. Like that's always how it feels to me. So I always kind of keep quiet. So when it gets to the live stream, I'm always like, I don't know what to say here. This is suddenly it's weird. I always battle. I always have, despite, and a couple of you know what I do for a living, and I know it confuses you on a regular basis. But I'm this is me being as real as possible with you. It always I'm never comfortable with the spotlight, ever. Never have been, probably never will be. It's not the game I'm here for. Most of you know me as the comic retailer guy who just wants to have comic shop talk, and that's what this channel is. There's the other side of my life, which adds some complexity to that, but at the end of the day, it's good. The crazy part, when we were talking with Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it was a wonderful interview, I loved talking to him mostly because it's this very simple fact. I'm a sucker for a very simple thing, and the thing was, he legit likes Superman, and kind of on some level, how sad is that? That the bar now is like, do you like the character that you're writing for? You do. You are a great writer. Like that's our bar. It's a pretty ridiculous bar if you come to think about it, but that's where we're at. But despite that, I think Philip Kennedy Johnson wakes up in the morning and thinks, how can I tell the best Superman story I can? And fuck it, I'm here for that. That sounds great. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Shouldn't have said fuck it. These are kind of videos, the dad videos, where I always think my kids will listen to them later, and I mean, the bar is crossed, but all the same, you don't want to just be out cursing for a while. But anyway, I think I was thinking about that interview, and I was thinking about the conversation with Sean Murphy. And the conversation with Sean Murphy was funny because as I reflected on it later, that was probably the most authentic to just Sean and I talking on the phone. It was, I mean, I don't know, he could confirm or deny, but that felt like what it is when the two of us are just chatting. Minus some of the very specific things that we don't put on the air, but by and large, it was that. And when I was thinking about that, the nature of that kind of very authentic conversation was, how do we make this business better? How do we make comics stronger? How do we make the people who are in comics more money, more security, more confidence, more, the ability to go home and like make those big bets in life that they should be making? That's what we want. That's what I want. And so, there's a lot of effort. Right now, when I'm recording this over on Twitter, I rarely use Twitter every now and then, but every now and then I do a little post or a little thread. And, they're talking about there's a video on this, the Spider Woman, the Jessica Drew, they've race swapped the character. And of course, that's the very predictable response of like, you're racist if you don't like this. And, it's all very exhausting. The entire thing is just tiring and stupid. But um, throughout all this, uh, as I'm reading that thread, it's like what a waste of energy a lot of this stuff is. I read the Danny Lore interview where she's talking about, is Danny Lore they, or is she? I don't know. Anyway, we'll go with this. Danny is talking about everything they're going with the character, and there's this one line during this interview where Danny goes, "Hey, if people really like the character, then we're going to get into like the long-term storytelling plans of one of the friends." I'm like, there's going to be no long-term. What are you talking about? None of this is long-term. And just feeling that way is sad for comics, because you want comics to go long, you want this to be successful, I mean, at the end of the day, and I think most of us feel this way, particularly people who have stuck with this channel. Some of you who are more along lately, some of you who just show up to troll, maybe you don't feel this way, but most of us who have stuck along with this, at the end of the day, what we want is not classified in terms of race or gender or social agenda or not social agenda or any of those kind of things. We want a good story. That's it. We're here to read a comic we love. We're here to be invested in what's going on. That's why the majority of people who collect comics are into it. They're not here to prove a point. They're not here to virtue signal. They're not here to, I mean, look, there's a whole handful of people who are going to show up to a comic and buy the latest issue of, DC Pride, because they want to show their support for the LGBTQ community. And there's a whole group of people. I'm not saying these are diametrically opposed, but there's a whole group of people who are going to show up and crowdfund Eric July's comic. And that's fine. There are definitely people who are putting their money in the cause. And that's great too. Good for you. That's what you're into. Great. But I think a lot of the people who listen to this channel, at the end of the day, just want good comics. They want something good to read. That's it. It doesn't really matter whether it's, 9/10 men or 3/4 women or 7/8 transgender or whatever. Like, nobody really gives a shit about that. They just want to read a good comic. That's at least my audience, I believe. And if you are a creator, or you are you're a fan, or whoever you happen to be, I think that we can be unified by that mission. The mission being, we just want good stuff to read. That's it. If you can provide good things to read, if you can provide good comics, good, enjoyable, pieces of material, then, we're willing to pay maybe more money than we should. We're willing to put up with a lot of bullshit. We're willing to, we go along with whatever other shenanigans are in play, but hopefully we can be unified by a good story. And by the way, I should interrupt at this point. If you are one of the people, like there's a handful. Mumbles has trolls, and he does one sarcastic comment per video, sometimes two if he's feeling spicy. And then there's a handful of other people who are like, I also want to be Mumbles, and I appreciate on some level that camaraderie. I know several of you have written in a lot more lately. I don't know why, but a lot of people are writing like, you got to get rid of this guy. Maybe Mumbles wants to take down the channel. Maybe Mumbles is serious. In order to be that gag or that joke, Mumbles has to kind of keep it going. Mumbles is not going to, if Mumbles ever wrote a comment along the lines of, hey, this is all just a bit, then it would all blow up. There could not be more after that. It would be over at that point. So, I think that he's got to keep it going. I think that by and large, please don't, you don't all need to do it. Just let the one guy be the one guy. It's boring. The copycats are boring. Like I said, I have a friend who's kind of managing the channel every now and then. I had to tell him, like, don't delete all those posts of people being assholes. So half the time the people being assholes are doing a gag, so you kind of got to know which is which. And, that's hard to do. But I would hope on this video, do me a favor. Just pause the gag for one video. Okay, try. I know you don't want to. It's tempting. I'm giving you a lot of temptation. But look, the message here is a lot of us just want a good story. Maybe it's a 90s story. Maybe it's Spawn and Greg Capullo returning to do artwork there. Maybe it's a a modern story that is told with today's sensibilities. Maybe it's Brian Michael Bendis back when he was doing the New Avengers. Maybe it's Walt Simonson returning to do Thor. Who knows? A lot of us just want a good tale. At the end of the day, we're all just going through life, and comic books is meant to be entertainment escapism. That's what it's meant to be. That's what it is. And it comes at a premium, a price, and that price should guarantee us a ticket to that escapism. That's the game. I think a lot of people, both creators and fans, at different times violate that game. They decide they want to pursue their own agenda for whatever reason. But the majority of people, all they're looking for is a little bit of entertainment. That's what we want in comics. So while the drama is tempting, while the desire to go on Twitter is tempting, while the desire to like write out "I hate this group" or "this group sucks" or whatever else it happens to be, consider for a moment. None of that stuff actually leads to more comics that we enjoy, more wealth for the people who create things that we enjoy, more value for those of us who enjoy the things we're reading. None of that helps. It's all a sideshow. Tomorrow, if this channel went down to 1,000 subs, 500 subs, 20 subs, if those 20 people who are tuning in were good friends, all trying to just get along, have a good time, I'm good with that. Totally good with that. I think that would be enjoyable. Look, you listened to the Sean Murphy interview, or maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Toward the end of that interview, I said a lot more than I normally do about kind of, me, my position, what I'm into, what I have. I'm blessed. I'm not a religious guy, but I'm blessed. I've had a good run. I've been very fortunate to have a good family, 2 wonderful daughters that you've heard from time to time, and absolutely. And that, at the end of the day, is all it counts. Thanks for listening.